Okay guys, so what we're doing today is I'm doing a really nice mango cannelloni. Something we've served before. I've served it in London and in New York. This is a dessert really based around mango and really based around raspberries. Now mango is one of these fruits that's absolutely delicious. It's a beautiful ingredient, especially when it's ripe, but quite a hard one to work with. It's got the massive stone in the center, so you're always a bit potluck with what you're going to get out of it, and you never get really beautiful, clean shapes. So the reason for doing a dessert like this and doing it in a cannelloni shape is using the outside to roll it and then putting all the nice little bits and pieces that you chop off in rustic shapes you get to put inside, and that way you do the mango justice, get a really nice presentation out of it, looks nice and neat, and you still are able to use an ingredient that's full of flavour like this. So first things first, let's just peel the mango. So we'll go around, gently peel off all the outside of the mango. This is a nice big mango. You can feel by the outside of it that it's nice and ripe. So once we've got all that peeled, the first thing I should probably do is lay out my cling film, because I'm going to make this cannelloni wrapped in a little bit of cling film. The best thing to use is a cloth. Just fold it up like that, place it on the bench, your arm on there like that, and you gently just roll across like that, okay? And that way you're going to get minimum creases, you get all the air out, it's nice and flat. Now I'm going to lay my mango out on that after I've sliced it. It's quite slimy as well, so it's quite difficult to handle, so I may actually need a little bit of a paper towel, and that'll help me get a good grip of it. You need a really nice sharp mandolin for this job. You can see that I'm doing them really nice and thin. Now we just need to layer it out, and we're going to lay it out in a nice sort of rectangle shape on this piece of cling film here. So you can see I'm just sort of overlapping it a little bit. You don't want any holes, you want it to sort of nicely hold together. Now I need someone up here to help me. Chelsea, you're with me today, get up here. The other element we need to start for this dish is the parfait, so a really nice raspberry parfait. So in this pot here on the stove, I've got 1 litre of raspberry juice. So bag of frozen raspberries, thaw it out, blitz it. If you've got access to fresh raspberries, a kilo of fresh raspberries should puree into 1 litre of fresh raspberry juice. So Chelsea, if you could put the eggs, so you've got 2 lots of eggs and the sugar in the bowl, and give it a little whisk for me, please.
Both lots of eggs?
Yes, please. So you've got egg yolks, and you've also got some egg white there. Z?
I was just going to see what the ratio of egg whites to yolks were.
We use 200 grams of fresh eggs and 240 grams of egg yolks. Okay, so it's quite specific. Okay, you ready to go? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour in the raspberry, and you're going to be whisking as I do. Okay, you ready?
Yep.
Now, what you're going to do, Chelsea, once you've whisked that, you're going to pass it through there back into that new pot, and then you're going to put it back on the heat and gently cook it out as you would an anglaise, okay? What I'm also doing for this, I've got a really nice stock syrup flavoured with lemongrass and also flavoured with chamomile tea. And they're really delicate flavours that'll just bring another dimension to the dish. 150 mils of water, 100 grams of sugar. We'll chop up our lemongrass and pile that all in there. So once that's come to the boil, we're using chamomile tea. You want to be careful with the tea. You want to be careful with a cup of tea. You know, I get caned. I live in England. My wife's English. I can't make her a cup of tea, frankly. I don't make her a cup of tea because I make bad tea. So I'm going to do a little bit of justice here, which is once you've brought this mixture to the boil, you take it off the heat, and we'll put the tea in and we'll just let it steep. And that's what tea's supposed to do. I'll pull it to the side. I'll put my nice tea in there and just let it steep, okay? The other part of this cannelloni, the mixture that goes inside. Now with the rest of the mango that I had left over, what I've done is I've gone through and chopped it all up. So you can see I've got really nice chopped up mango here. I've also got some pineapple. Pineapple's a great ingredient. I have some beautiful fresh mint. Now I'm going to take the stalks out of the mint. The mint stalks are quite hard. So as you can see, I've split the leaf in half, and then I'm going to split it in half again, and then you can just go through and gently slice it up. So the fresh mint can go inside. Okay, how's that looking?
It's thickening up.
Certainly is thickening up. Okay, so we're going to take that off the heat. Put a little bit of gelatine in there as well. And what the gelatine does is just makes it easier to work with, because we don't want to serve it icy chilled. We want to serve it just defrosted, basically. In a restaurant situation, when one comes on order, parfait comes out of the freezer, bang on the plate, literally, timer on. It doesn't leave the kitchen before it's sat there for 10 minutes. That way you can, when it gets to the table, you cut straight through it right to the bottom. You don't get a little bit of your spoon through, and you know, it's like the ice cream that's been in the freezer too long. You can't dig it out, can you? You want to leave it sitting around for a few minutes so you can get in there and eat it nicely. Ice cream always tastes best when you've had the drive home from the supermarket. Then once you get home, it's been about half an hour, and then you open the lid up and get the corners, dig the corners out, because they're the best bit. They've just come up to a nice temperature. We've got our raspberry and our eggs. We've cooked it out like we cook out a cream anglaise, just until it starts to thicken and the egg starts working. So I've just taken off the heat. We'll drop those leaves of gelatine in there. The other thing we're going to do with this is we're going to put some butter in. Now, butter's the last ingredient. We're going to use a stick blender like this to incorporate it. You could use a whisk if you don't have a stick blender. So Chelsea, you can work away with that. Okay, so I've got my really nice little mix happening here. I've also got 50 grams of mascarpone, and I've got about 20 grams of cream. Whipped cream. It's going to help bind all the pineapple, the mint, and the mango that we've got going inside here. You can immediately see that there's not really any lumps poking out. There's enough cream to get it nice and smooth, and that's a great indication that you've got the right ratio in there, okay? Now, coming to the cannelloni, what we're going to do is place our little mix along the centre. Okay, so wrapping it is a simple process of sort of rolling it over like this. Once you get to this stage, what you want to do is sort of pull the cling film a little bit back, and you want to get in there and get that tucked right under. Then we're going to roll it. And go a little bit further so it's gone over once, and then you're going to start the rolling. Okay? And that's pretty much us. So I'm going to tie this end down here. We want to keep it reasonably tight, but you don't want so much pressure that it's going to sort of burst as you go along. So that goes in the fridge, and you need to put it in the fridge for a little bit of time. You need it time to chill up so that when you cut it, you can actually work with it. Okay, so I'll put that straight in the fridge. That's done. Looks fantastic, doesn't it?
It does.
It's just starting to cool down slightly. We've got our butter all incorporated. We've got a little bit of air in it by blending it. It's a really nice sort of thick, light colour, creamy consistency. So the next job is we're going to pour it into our tray. This is the tray that we're going to freeze it in. So what I've done is I've lined it with paper. You can see rather than trying to sort of line the whole thing with paper, what I've done is I've lined along and out the other side, okay? I've put a little bit of olive oil and rubbed it all around and under the tray, and that way when I put my piece of paper on, my paper just sticks to the bottom. So let's pour that in there. And we want to get all the little sort of air bubbles out. Make sure it's all nice and flat. Okay. So simple, just banging it to get it nice and flat and to get a few of the air bubbles out as well. Get it nice and neat on the top. Once we've done that, we're going to go straight in the freezer, okay? Chelsea, I think we're all good.
Okay.
You can grab a seat. Thank you so much. Go through your raspberries and pick out the nice even size ones that you want. We've got my nice little stock syrup here that I made with the chamomile tea and lemongrass. I've let it cool. Obviously, I don't want to use it warm on a parfait dish with the raspberries. So I've let it cool and then I've passed it off. And as you can see by the mix that I've passed off here, you've got a little bit of the tea left over in there. It's quite a nice, rich colour. A little bit viscous. It's reasonably sweet, actually, but I'm not going to put a lot of it on the dish anyway. So spoon that out, and we're just going to roll the raspberries in that. Now I'll get my parfait out. It's going to take at least a couple of hours to chill down in a normal freezer. As you can see, it's slightly sort of pliable. It's nice and firm. This one's quite flat. I'm just going to cut a nice, neat little piece out of it. Put that on the plate nicely. I'm going to leave that on there for about 10 minutes, and that way it'll just come up to temperature. Okay, so a really nice big cannelloni. First thing I'm going to do is take a really nice little slice out of it. That's the end bit. Tastes good. Really important to have a very sharp knife when we get to this stage. Now what I need to do is find the seam of the cling film. I wouldn't touch it too much, but I just let the cling film do the rolling to unravel it like that. So I'll put one on the side, one on a different angle there. Got my really nice little raspberries. A little bit of the juice from the bottom. You can see it's taken on a little bit of colour from the raspberries. And just to make sure we've got the parfait to a nice consistency and to get it nice and shiny, just run a little blowtorch over it and you can see it just brings it out really, really nice and shiny. So that's it. Mango cannelloni, raspberries and a raspberry parfait.
Thank you.